Get ready to bid farewell to Sergio Perez. After a horrendous weekend at Budapest, the Mexican driver has moved 5 steps closer to the Red Bull exit door. Is there any hope for him at all at this point? Let's hear what his bosses, rivals and critics have to say in today's video. Sergio Perez had a tough weekend at the Hungarian Grand Prix, crashing out during qualifying. Speaking to the media after qualifying, Sergio Perez kept repeating that in hindsight, they didn't need the lap that ended with his RB20 in the wall. When asked about what caused him to lose control, Perez said, "I lost it. I think I clipped the curve, and at that point it was raining harder in turn 8. So when I exited the curve, it was quite late in the corner, and it just sent me off completely into the wall. It was so hard to judge the conditions. It was raining harder, but at the end you were not losing grip. I was improving my lap. We didn't need to do the lap, but you always know a lot afterwards." He mentioned that the track had seemed consistent for several laps, but the rain was just changing the track constantly. Perez also tried to save himself as he denied that his crash was due to pushing too hard. This was when Perez repeatedly said that he probably didn't even need to attempt to set a faster lap. "I was just on a good lap, but in hindsight we didn't need that lap," he said. "It's something we will review. These conditions can catch anyone out. But unfortunately, it has been me, 2 in a row. I'm determined to turn things around. It's obviously quite hard to face all the media after these difficult moments, but when we get back to it, it will be even sweeter. I think after qualifying everyone knows what to think at the time. However, with the information I have, probably there was no need, and especially where we were, and the rain was picking up. But we went, and we paid the price." What made the crash even more frustrating for Perez was that he felt yesterday was probably the best Friday of the season. This incident comes at a time when Perez is under intense scrutiny. After the British Grand Prix, Red Bull senior advisor Helmut Marko stated that the upcoming races in Hungary and Belgium will be crucial in determining Perez's future. Dr. Marko has issued an ultimatum about Sergio Perez's future, with the team following the nasty qualifying crash at the Hungarian GP, which caused a red flag. Addressing Perez's recent performance slump and the Saturday crash, Marko confirmed, "There will be a meeting after Spa to discuss Perez's performance. His future with Red Bull isn't looking good given the 137-point gap between him and his teammate Max Verstappen." Marko highlighted this disparity, noting that points are crucial when awarding bonuses to team members. Speaking about the upcoming meeting at Spa, he told Viaplay, "I mean, in the end, everything is about performance in every sport and especially in Formula 1. So, I don't want to go into any details of contracts or whatever. There will be a meeting after Spa." When asked if Red Bull's recent conversations with the Mexican will turn into action, he said, "I told you, we will sit down after Spa and go through the whole problem. It's a problem. Our staff get bonuses only from where our position is in the Constructors' Championship. So it's a very important motivation factor. And yeah, Checo didn't make too many points the last couple of races." Team principal Christian Horner shared his views, saying that the team cannot run on one leg. While talking to the same broadcaster Helmut Marko spoke to, he was asked if he had run out of patience with Perez. He didn't rule out the possibility of replacing the struggling racer. He added, "I do think I have shown to be very patient, but this was really the last thing he and the team needed. We now have to get everything back together, fix the car and see what we can get out of it during the race. These kinds of discussions should happen internally and not through the media. But it is clear that we cannot keep walking one-legged." It wasn't all bad for Perez, though. Max Verstappen defended his teammate in front of the press, despite having a controversial race himself. When asked if Verstappen believes the situation reflects more on the car than on Perez, the Dutchman responded saying, "Of course it's also just difficult, but here it had to do with the weather. Especially McLaren, they are 1 and 2, then you know that car goes like a bullet. Then it's just difficult for us because the car is also just really tricky, and it's difficult to find the right balance." But what he said next put Perez back in the hot seat. He said, "You know, if you are fast enough, it all doesn't matter. If you are faster, you overtake them anyway, then they can defend and go all crazy. But it really doesn't matter. You can never put it down to that it's 1 car against 2. If you're faster, then it will work out." Even Sauber's very own Guan Yu had bad things to say about the Mexican. He insisted that Sergio Perez was not in the right place after he experienced a dramatic spin during practice at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Zhou spun out on the exit of Turn 4 during the second free practice session at the Hungaroring, while Perez's Red Bull was on a slow lap ahead of him. Although Perez was off the racing line, positioned to the right of the track as he approached the right-hander at Turn 5, at the time of the incident, Zhou immediately placed the blame on the Red Bull driver accusing him of getting in his way over team radio. He was heard saying the following: "This Red Bull. What the f—" Speaking after the session, Zhou, who was classified last out of the 20 participants in FP2, accused Perez of not being in the right place on the circuit as he approached the Red Bull. He said, "Honestly, he was not in the right place on my lap. I hit the dirty air. The corner was there. It's not like I made a mistake in that corner. Just as I was about to go into the lap, I saw the Red Bull ahead, so hit the dirty air, and that was it. It was a big moment, glad I saved it, but honestly, at that kind of corner, it's better to stay on the left-hand side because he was on the racing line." Perez, on the other hand, argued that he had moved out of the way in anticipation of Zhou's arrival, having been warned by the Red Bull pit wall that the Sauber was approaching quickly. He said, "I knew he was coming, so I moved out of the way, and when I saw him spinning, I had to go to the left quite quickly to avoid him. Luckily, I managed to avoid him, and he didn't have any damage, so that was good." Formula One legend Jacques Villeneuve has harshly criticised struggling Red Bull driver Sergio Perez, claiming he isn't even good enough for Williams. Villeneuve, who won the 1997 World Championship with the Oxfordshire-based team, now one of the weaker squads on the grid, stated that even with Logan Sargent at the bottom of the 2024 standings and teammate Alex in 17th, he still wouldn't consider taking Perez if he became available. Ahead of Sunday's race, Villeneuve delivered a harsh critique of the Red Bull star's F1 career, as team bosses are seriously contemplating dropping him once the summer break begins after the Belgian Grand Prix. "Sergio Perez has shown he's not able to win races much more, if not any more," Villeneuve said. "Williams needs a special driver to take the team to the next level, and I don't think Perez is that." As reported by the race early in the Hungarian GP weekend, reserve driver Liam Lawson, who recently had a solid test in Red Bull's 2024 car, was considered the leading candidate if Red Bull decided to replace Perez before the year's end. But sources now suggest that Red Bull sees Ricciardo as a more practical option for the remainder of 2024. Ricciardo mentioned he has not been told anything by Red Bull, although it's believed he was given the summer break as a deadline to make his strongest case. When asked by the race about what Red Bull had communicated to him in the context of evaluating their 2024 and 2025 options during the summer break, he said, "I haven't been told anything, but I've told myself, fucking do it, go fast, you've got 2 races to give it hell. And that's honestly not even with the idea of moving up. It's even just trying to lock something in for next year. I intentionally came into the weekend telling myself that these 2 races could be 2 of the most important of not only my season, but potentially my career. They haven't specifically said anything to me, but I've said enough to myself." So, are you ready to brand Sergio Perez as unworthy of a Formula One seat at this stage? Tell us what you think in the comments section down below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thanks for watching.